about some of the greatest musical compositions ever written. Tune in weekdays 9 to 10 a.m. and Wednesday from 9 to 10:30.
Hi, I'm Megan, host of Radio Free Saturday Morning, the eclectic music mix beacon of the Four Corners and worldwide. Tune in to discover new music and to revel in the more familiar with no rules on genre, form, or novelty. Learn more about the origins of songs, the lives of the musicians that made them, and a wide array of interesting facts in general. It's freeform radio at its finest. Hear what you rarely hear anywhere else here on Radio Free Saturday mornings, 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. every Saturday on KSJE.
KSJE is supported by San Juan Regional Medical Center, here for you, providing safe, quality care. Stay informed on the COVID-19 developments to protect yourself and your loved ones at sanjuanregional.com or the COVID-19 information line at 505-516-0938 or 888-949-5387. San Juan Regional Medical Center, caring for the Four Corners since 1910. Minutes past 8 o'clock. It is Wednesday morning, April 15th. Good morning, everyone. I'm Scott Micklin. Thank you for tuning in to KSJE, 90.9 FM over the air here in San Juan County, 103.3 FM over the air in Durango, Colorado, and of course streaming everywhere from our website, ksje.com. Special good morning also to our viewers who are watching this visual radio program streaming live to the KSJE YouTube channel and to our Facebook page. We are glad that you are with us, everybody. Coming up in the next few minutes, my guest this morning will be joining us live today. Farmington Mayor Nate Duckett is standing by. We talk a little bit about what's been going on in the city, how the city is responding to the current pandemic, and much, much more. That is coming up in the next few moments right here on KSJE, so stay tuned for that. Later on this hour, we will take our weekly trip to the Encouragement Lab. Communications Professor Dr. Mike Hadabaugh providing some good advice about maybe what we're feeling during these uncertain times. That's coming up today, 8:50 a.m. right here on KSJE. And then a reminder, of course, at 9 a.m. this morning, Megan Cullip will be joining me here in Studio A, and we'll be co-hosting our local information program about the coronavirus. This is when we share local information about what's going on in the community, some of the statistics that are going on, but also some positive things that the community is doing in response to what is going on. So we hope you'll join us for that. It's a live streaming program at 9, so you can only watch it on YouTube and Facebook. It'll be on the radio later on this afternoon, but that's coming up this morning at 9 a.m. On the radio side of things at 9 a.m., Mick Hess is continuing Roving with the Arts, of course, our classical music program, and today he is playing Handel's Messiah. That's coming up this morning on Roving with the Arts. And then at 10:30, that will be our Right on Four Corners program, our local and regional author program. Tracy Hales-Vass is speaking to two authors this morning, Paul and Carlos Meyer, about their latest book, which is called Under the Cottonwood Tree. She'll be talking to them this morning at 10:30 on the radio and, of course, streaming on our website. Our local information coronavirus program airs again at 5 p.m. on the radio this afternoon. So if you miss it at 9, you can check it out at 5 p.m. this afternoon. And, of course, we invite you to connect with us also on Twitter and on Instagram. Our weather forecast, mostly sunny day today with a high near 60 degrees, clear and not as cold overnight tonight with a low of 35. Maybe put the plants back out tonight. Partly sunny skies for Thursday and Friday with highs in the mid-60s and overnight lows near 40 degrees. Maybe a chance of showers in the forecast on Saturday with again a high near 63 and a low of 38. Mostly sunny skies on Sunday and 66 for a high and lower 70s for a high with partly sunny skies on Monday. Well, let me turn to my guest who is patiently waiting for me to introduce him this morning, and I'm glad that he is with me via Zoom this morning. Farmington Mayor Nate Duckett is here. Mayor Duckett, good morning.
Good morning, Scott.
Thank you for joining me. I appreciate it, and you are staying safe and staying well, I assume and hope.
All right, so far so good. I'm living COVID-free. So
all right.
We're doing everything we can.
There we go. And so you're joining us from your home, and I appreciate that. And so I wanted to
drum set.
We got a little bit. Oh, the drum set.
There,
I like the drum set. Okay.
It's the Bush drum set.
Very nice. All right. Well, I'm glad they're not playing it this morning while we're doing our interview, but I'm sure they'd love to. So,
They would love to.
Mayor, give us an idea of how things are going at the city. This is certainly an unprecedented time. The city, certainly, like everywhere else, has had to advise folks to stay home or have folks working from home. And so, how are things going for the city these days?
Well, I mean, the city is bracing for a financial crisis, Scott. I'm speaking on that, obviously, as we have a 60-day period between what is happening right now at the cash registers here in Farmington until the gross receipts taxes get sent to us from Santa Fe. There's a 60-day difference. So
Okay.
we are
What do you
preparing
Yeah.
our financial models for what we're anticipating, this next, 2 months from now to look like, and how we're going to finish off 2020 and move into fiscal year 2021.
So the city, of course, is very reliant on those gross receipts taxes that we all pay when we go shopping in town. And with all this that's going on, of course, people aren't doing as much shopping. They're maybe buying groceries, but those aren't taxed. And so that's kind of what you're talking about, is you're expecting a big hit in that revenue stream.
86% of your local services are funded through the dollars generated through the cash registers for non-food items. Yeah.
And so you've gotten figures then from what, two months ago, before kind of the lockdowns and the stay-at-home orders and things like that. So you're not really able to see quite yet how big the chunk drop is going to be.
No, not quite yet, but certainly based on the number of businesses that have been shuttered and the services that have been reduced, it's going to be a big chunk. So that is definitely something we're trying to be ahead of right now. It's budget season at the city of Farmington, and we've essentially adopted this past year's budget going forward, and we're going to make some major adjustments by the end of August 31st to that budget. But that is, that's part of our fiscal responsibility to the people of Farmington, to ensure that their tax dollars are being utilized in the best and most efficient way possible. And of course, by law, we have to meet our budget. We can't print money and just funnel it into the public like the federal government seems to be able to.
I understand. As much as I would love to spend some Duckett bucks, I understand what you're saying, Mr. Mayor, that you can't do that. So, is there anything going on right now? There haven't been any layoffs or furloughs at the city that I'm aware of. Is everybody still on the job as far as you know?
For a lot of our employees, they're listed as temporary or seasonal employees.
I see.
And of course, when you have facilities that have been shut down, the rec center, the museum, things like that, those employees obviously go into an inactive status until the time comes when we open those facilities back up and bring them back on board. So for the most part, that is what has been done thus far. Those we've inactivated temporary employees. Obviously, you're still going to see your community works employees out, obviously doing road work. They're doing a lot of curb and gutter right now. Downtown project continues. Your parks maintenance crews are still out there cutting grass and getting the medians ready for the summer. And there's a lot of infrastructure here in our city that we've obviously all put a lot of money into that needs to continue to be updated. And so those things, in my mind, are some simple things. We can't just let grass die and those things send people home.
Got it. And so that's what's been going on right now. And so you mentioned then in maybe late summer, August, as we get into the new budget season, we may see some very different budgets as you address some of this revenue shortfall. And so what are some of the things that you're looking at?
I'm losing you there, Scott.
Uh-oh. Can you hear me, Mayor?
There you are.
Our technology is hanging in there. I was asking about what are your thoughts for the next budget, I guess. Are there some priorities then that you and the council are directing city staff to look at as they craft a new budget for fiscal year 2021?
Every year since I've been an elected official, we come to budget season and your department heads provide the city manager with a listing of things that they, here's the things that we have to do and here's the things that I would like to do and here's some far-reaching things that we really done really great. And, then the city manager takes it and he cuts out, all the things he can't do. And then some ideas of where we can find adjustments or cuts to maybe do some of these other things. And he brings it before to the council, and then we sit and discuss all these, this big board of services, project facilities, whatever it may be, that either need to be considered for reductions or can be considered for improvements or whatever the case may be. We've not reached that point yet. So we've not reached the point to see what that menu looks like. I just know that this is going to be one of the toughest budgets we've ever had to make. And I will say this, though, regardless of how tough it's going to be, we probably have some of the best individuals in the state of New Mexico working for the city of Farmington. Certainly Rob Mays and Teresa Emmerich, our budget officer and financial director, they are fabulous. And so I have no doubts that we're going to find a way to make this happen and maintain as many services and all services to the best of our ability.
And Mayor, you're breaking up just a little bit for us, but we're able to kind of make out what you're saying. But I think you said something that's going to be one of the toughest budgets you've ever had to build as you look ahead. Is there anything that you're looking for from the state or federal stimulus or help? Are there some talk about helping state and local governments with some of the aid that's being discussed, either in Washington, D.C. or in Santa Fe if we have a special session? Are you getting any word about that?
I'm not getting any word from Santa Fe. I did get a little bit of inkling coming out of Washington, D.C. that they were considering a bill to help local municipalities, but I've not seen that carry forward yet. I mean, that may be on the next set of bailout bills that they're considering at this point. So,
I see. Gotcha. And so with that ahead of us, then let's talk a little bit about some of the things that's going on with the city. You've mentioned, of course, having to shut down gathering places. Of course, I know there's been a lot of notices sent out from the city's website about staying at home, flattening the curve, and not gathering, although I know a lot of folks like to get out, and we have got great areas to get out, and you can still kind of go outside and be physically distant, and that's been something that the city's been trying to, I think, try to balance, correct? That message?
Well, I think, I had a conversation with a friend up in New York City the other day, and, he was just envious of the fact that, I'm able to step out my door here and walk a trail. I mean, it's just all around us. So to be outside is to be social distancing and healthy. And so you don't feel cooped up like in a lot of these cities. They don't have access to those types of amenities. But yes, I mean, we're continuing to say go outside, and your local parks are open. We've obviously put up signage, and we've continued to educate to say please don't gather in groups larger than 5. Please social distance. All of those messaging has been out there, and I think it's improved. Some of the concerns have been brought a couple of weeks ago. But yeah, I mean, it's in Glade Recreation Area here, Choke Cherry, 2 weekends ago, and I'd never seen more people out there in Ross or HVs or Jeeps. I mean, it was just a playground of outdoor recreation going on. We
do have a lot of outdoor areas. I know you were talking about Choke Cherry Canyon there and seeing a lot of Jeeps out there, Mayor. Is kind of your audio is coming and going, which is we're a victim of our technology this morning. But I think a lot of folks are taking this time to maybe rediscover just how much open space and recreational activities we have right literally in our backyards, which I know has been what you and a lot of your economic development folks have been telling us for years and years and years. That we certainly are blessed to be in this area with all of these opportunities. Are you hearing anything from the state, Mayor, about getting over this, and as we get over the peak and maybe trying to reopen some of the things? I know that's been a long ongoing national conversation as well. Is there anything coming from Santa Fe about that you can share with us?
I'm not getting any inkling out of the governor's office about a plan to move forward.
Okay. I know they're very cautious. They don't want a second surge or a second wave of illness, and I understand that.
Well, to some degree I understand as well, but you've got to start putting a light at the end of the tunnel, especially for our business owners and furloughed employees. I mean, there's households where both parents have been furloughed, and it's a scary, scary time. And so I think it's important from a leadership perspective. And I know the governor, and by the way, I'm not talking disparagingly about the governor at all. What the task at hand is a big task, and trying to manage a public health crisis is obviously one of the biggest challenges any public official could possibly face, because what you do or don't do, you get criticized either way. So we understand that at this point she has put the stay-at-home order until the 30th of April, which gives a little bit of time for her to try to work a plan together to move forward. But I believe that those discussions really need to start happening now, and they need to be happening with your local municipalities and with your county commissions, and start asking some questions, because different parts of the state, regarding we're a very rural state. So you need to be talking to these places and the individuals who are in charge there, and to the business owners and the chambers and the healthcare officials, and make sure that you're devising those strategies with them involved. I think that's really an important component of whatever plan is to move forward. Is my audio coming through okay?
It comes and goes, but for the most part, we can hear you. And
I don't want to interrupt a live broadcast, but do you want me to try it with my phone?
If you want to try that, Mayor, we can do that. We have about 15 minutes remaining, so we can do that.
Hang on, let's.
Let me send you the phone number.
I'm on.
Yeah, we'll have to. I'll cut your audio off over there and have you call in over here as we do that, and have you. We'll see if that works, everybody. So hold on. Mayor Duckett, my guest this morning from the city of Farmington. He is going to be calling in on the phone because our audio is a little bit. Oh, I see what you did. You changed to your phone for Zoom. Got it. All right.
Can you hear me?
Any better, Mayor? I can hear you, and we can.
I can hear you.
We can see you, and there you are. Well, let's try
Perfect.
that. Oop.
All right.
There he is. Okay. There he is. All right. So you were telling me before we came on the air this morning, Mr. Mayor, that you're going to ask the council to approve a declaration this week or next week or at the next meeting.
Right. So today I'm going to issue just to try and get this conversation started. And it's not just a conversation for the city of Farmington. It's going to be a conversation for every city in New Mexico. But to get this conversation started with the governor's office on where we move and how we move forward. And to do that, I thought it was a really, really smart idea to issue another emergency declaration. We issued an emergency declaration when we obviously went into this public health crisis to ensure that the funding that was being provided from FEMA to the state makes its way all the way to the city as we need it. This emergency declaration is an economic emergency declaration. And by detailing out in this declaration, I'm trying to put forward a very, in my opinion, and nothing simple, by the way, in this current situation, but
right.
There are some things out there that people have pointed out that are very concerning about the order and how it's applied to different businesses. This non-essential, essential listing of businesses. So we have in this community small businesses and specialized retailers that provide services and products that are sold at the big box stores that have been deemed essential, right? I can walk into a Walmart and I can buy all sorts of things. I can buy a bike, I can buy jewelry, I can buy all these things that are also available at local or smaller specialized retail shops here in town. And frankly, I think a lot of us, and certainly on this radio show, we've talked a number of times about shop local and the importance of supporting your local business owners, who we know that those dollars spent in those stores, they go much further into your community than spending them at the big box retailers. Obviously, I'm not have anything against big box retailers. My concern, of course, is the livelihood of the individuals who invested their life and their fortune in creating a business here in our city and are now under duress, and frankly can't continue on much longer if we continue to have things shut down the way they are.
Right.
So
I understand.
The governor's order right now, extends to the deemed essential businesses a 20% capacity limit. So based on the fire department's fire code for your capacity in your building, you're only allowed to have 20% of that capacity inside of it. Well, I asked this question. I've asked it twice to the governor's office, most recently on Monday, as to, let's consider now, as we have met two important goals in my mind. And are the goals completely achieved? No. I'm not standing on an aircraft carrier saying that we won the war. What I'm saying is that when this kicked off in the United States and came to New Mexico, the modeling that existed then was very dangerous looking. I mean, it showed that your number of resources, your ICU beds, your ventilators, all those things were going to be taxed, and we're going to be making decisions about whether or not people were going to live or die, similar to what they've had to do in Italy. And we have done a fantastic job as a community, as a state, of following social distancing, of staying at home, of limiting our movements in big, broad public spaces. And so now when you look at the modeling, I mean, I guess it depends on which modeling you're looking at. But now when you look at the models, they don't show that we're going to overrun our healthcare system. We have managed to flatten out that curve. And in doing so, in my mind, we need to start looking at relaxing, or at least creating a more balanced playing field for our businesses for every business to reopen at 20% capacity.
I see.
So
Right.
That's what I'm asking in this emergency declaration, is that consider, and I can kind of read some of this for you, if you'd like.
Sure.
I can definitely do that. This is the first, we're actually releasing it today, Scott. You're the first one to breaking news.
Wow.
From the city of Farmington.
You know how much I love breaking news, Mr. Mayor, so I appreciate that. But I know it's important for our listeners and audiences to understand what the city is doing on behalf of all of the businesses in the community. And so this is, as you're saying, one thing that you are declaring in hopes that maybe there might be a standardized business operation proclamation from the governor's office, I guess, is what I'm hearing.
Yes. So what I'm wanting to do is provide the governor some tools to modify her order that would allow for all businesses to be open at 20% capacity, and for those businesses to put in place, health protocols to protect, excuse me, their employees and their customers. Because frankly, I think a lot of these local owners, these small, more specialized retail stores, the pawn shops that have been closed down, these places can social distance. They can manage and meter the number of customers coming into the building, probably at a far greater efficiency than the big box stores. And for me personally, I would much rather be in a place that there's not 100, 200, 300, 400 people walking around, or there's been 1,000 people in there throughout the day. I'd rather be in my friend's local store, being able to purchase things from his store where I know he's wiping things down constantly, where I know there's only 1 or 2 employees inside, right? I mean, where there's true social distancing happening inside of the business. So
right. Okay.
I think, and the feedback that I get here from our business owners and from our locals is they agree. And that's what's really motivated me to send this message out to say, look, what we have done in facing this virus and implementing these essential and non-essential orders is that we have unjustly dictated winners and losers by discriminating against small businesses and specialized retailers. I'm kind of reading it here for you, Scott.
Right.
So, and then kind of the things we spoke of, we can buy the same products or have the services that are available in these deemed essential stores. They're capable of enforcing social distancing standards. But here's where we get to some really important components. These small businesses and specialized retailers, they provide employment to a large number of the state's workforce, and that we have the highest rates of unemployment that the state's ever seen, than America's probably ever seen. And so, how can we kind of shore this up? What happens when we keep these businesses closed for long periods of time? And this is the same kind of conversation that we've had regarding trying to save jobs at San Juan Generating Station. Is what is the impacts of poverty on a community? And when you continue to have people who are unemployed, people who are sitting at home, people who are whose lives are eroding because there's not opportunity for them to feed their families with their own hands, with their own labor, with their own minds, because there's no jobs available, bad things start happening in communities. And so we listed in there that, these things, keeping these businesses closed, having unemployment this high will lead to higher rates of poverty. Poverty leads to negative outcomes on families, children, and communities through increases in crime, hunger, violence, and homelessness, and decreases in physical and mental health, nutrition, and educational outcomes. The other thing that happens, and we have a very resilient workforce here in San Juan County, is those people are going to pick up and go somewhere else where there's more opportunity. This is the other piece of the pie. The big concern that I have is prior to the virus, we were already facing unprecedented economic times here in our area. And so what happens if you're that small business owner and you've been forced to stay closed and you're considering what it's going to cost you to reopen? Do you start considering whether or not Farmington is the place for you to reopen your business? Do you start looking elsewhere here in the United States and other areas that are having some strong economic times even amidst all of this shutdown? Do you start looking at other places to relocate?
Understood.
That really concerns me.
Sure. Well, and I can understand that, Mr. Mayor. And so I would think that when you're talking about things like this now, some of these federal programs, right, are designed for these local small businesses. Now, I know there might be some issues getting on the program, getting signed up for the program, but that part of that's been designed to try to keep some of these furloughed folks on the payroll, and so they don't maybe lose their jobs, and so that's been part of this. But you're saying more could be done, and from the governor's perspective, she could be doing more, or just amend her order to make it fair to everybody.
Yeah, I just think there needs to be a small tweak made, and certainly those funds have are being put out there as being made available to the small business owners and to the employees, but to the extent that they're going to make people whole, or to the extent of how long is this type of shutdown going to last? I mean, these are so many unknown variables that exist in this, and I prefer, if we can find ways to be smart about going about our daily lives, and having learned from the shock and awe component of stay at home or shelter in place or these things. I mean, everybody's been brought to this new awareness now.
Right.
To whatever degree that they're adopting them in their own lives is certainly, it's on them to decide what they need to do. But to the point that government is saying, look, here's a select few retailers that we believe and trust in and have the supplies that people need, and we're going to allow them to operate, while all these small businesses that have built New Mexico and have built our communities, we're just going to shutter them.
Right.
And I feel like that's wrong. So I'm asking her here to consider, again, modifying her order, an immediate modification of public health orders to restore functioning parts of our local economy that do not endanger public health, proliferate innovation into our workforce and businesses, and support the municipalities that provide critical services by reopening all businesses at 20% capacity, require all businesses to actively meet their clientele to meet that 20% or to manage that 20%, make sure that they're actively managing 6-foot social distancing standards inside of their facility. They need to post public health information inside of their businesses, and they need to implement appropriate health protocols and protections for their employees and customers. And when I say implement appropriate health protocols and protections, I mean that your employees wear masks, your employees wear gloves. I mean, just depending on the kind of business that you're operating in, I would want them to adopt those principles to ensure that their employees feel safe being at work and their customers feel safe coming in and shopping.
Right. And I would assume that some of your other colleagues in other communities around the state, Mr. Mayor, are probably on the same page. Are you hearing that from the Municipal League or other folks?
Oh, it certainly. I mean, throughout the state, you're hearing those. When are we going to start scaling back some of this, or how can we smartly do this? How can we safely start getting these businesses back up? This seemed, in consultation with a lot of locals here, this seemed like a good step forward. And I think it's really a small step.
Right.
Because you're not, again, what the governor has done and what she has said in her public health orders is 3 important things. Social distance, only go out when you need to go out, right? And stay hygienically clean. And I think over the long term, we're going to continue to have to push that message, and people are going to have to, they're going to have to take care of themselves, Scott. I mean, I really believe to some degree, any component of what an individual chooses or doesn't choose to do, there's going to be consequences of that. Now, of course, in this situation, some of those consequences may not affect me. They may affect somebody else that's around me. But we have to have that higher level of understanding of what our responsibility is in this time, and how we need to take care of ourselves for the sake of other people. But that message isn't going to stop. We're not just all of a sudden going to be able to open up the economy and everybody's going to go back to how it was before. That's not going to happen. So why, in the midst of all of this, are we punishing a large portion of our important local business owners and their employees, and not allow them to be a part of this solution? That's the other part. That's why I listed in here, proliferate innovation into our workplace. Things are going to have to change for all businesses in order to function now in this time after coronavirus, or in between the next wave of coronavirus. I mean, again, there's so many things that we don't know, but continuing to push down those small business owners and supporting the corporate giant mega box retailers that are going to make it through this without a problem, that really worries me. I mean, I think somebody said they expect a third of our businesses in New Mexico to be closed permanently. And that, man,
Ouch.
I mean, again, we can't afford to bleed any more jobs in San Juan County. And so I think this is a small, safe step. What I think is really important to me, Scott, is you're putting trust. You're putting trust into our local business owners that we believe that you can follow these guidelines and you can be an advocate for a safe and healthy workplace. And we can get people back to work and allow your customers to come back into your businesses in a safe manner. I mean, at some point, they're going to have to do that. Why is waiting longer when we've seen that the curve is being flattened? We're seeing that we're not going to overrun our hospitals. Now is the time to start making these conversations more apparent to the general public.
Very true. Well, Mr. Mayor, I'm afraid we are out of time this morning in our conversation.
Man.
It goes by quick, doesn't it?
It always goes by so quick.
It does. Well, but I appreciate it. That means you'll come back, I hope, and talk to me.
Always
maybe,
happy to come back.
Maybe from another room in your house, or maybe you'll be at the drum set. I don't know, but it's up to you next time.
I got a piano over here too.
Oh,
so
well, we could
have
have
concert for
a
you.
jam session. There you go. Well, Mayor Nate Duckett, I appreciate your time this morning. Thank you, and good luck with all that you're doing for the city, and we'll talk again soon. Stay safe.
Scott, thank you, and thank you everybody out there for all they're doing as well. We have a fabulous community, and I couldn't be more proud. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mayor Nate Duckett from the city of Farmington, my guest here on KSJE. And I'll be back with more, everyone, in just a moment. The time right now is 8:40. This program on KSJE is supported by Citizens Trust and Investment Corporation, providing a competent, innovative, and caring team of professionals to serve wealth management, trust administration, employee benefit plans, retirement planning, and estate settlement needs. Find out more about Citizens Trust and Investment Corporation at 505